I saw a statement that Chuck D put out today. He actually posted that early this morning, and he was speaking in defense of Travis Scott and the fact
Hmm.
that Travis Scott's getting like all the blame for this Astro World Fest. Let me go to what he had to say real quick.
Hmm.
So Chuck D posted on his Instagram. He said, "I cannot believe we're at this point where I gotta say this out loud. Travis Scott is a performer, an act, not a concert promoter. He doesn't run the sound or the venue or the festival or their staff. He doesn't build the stage or coordinate logistics. He's not an expert in crowd control or security or emergency medical services, but he does trust Live Nation and all the other concert promoters who are supposed to do all of this. And yet here we are, 10 deaths and counting, 10 broken families. The world is mourning. I'm sorry, I'm tired of these corporations shucking their most crucial responsibilities. These folks simply say rest in peace and move on. This negligence can't continue. Folks want answers. I'm not buying the young black man did it. He's being blamed for a crime while the old white men run up the corpse that Travis and his fans trusted with their lives. Stay quiet in the shadows, counting their money and watching their stock prices go up and up. The excuse of Travis's irresponsible actions don't wash. If this act had a history of that, I'm sorry, if this act had a history of that behavior, why promote him in these bigger venues? Why partner with him in the first place? And let him headline bigger audiences. Live Nation controls the show. They control almost all of the concert venues. Artists ain't speaking out because these same cats already bought by these corporations. No one can say a word against them unless they want to be blacklisted and hurt their careers. So I'm calling out Michael Rapinoe's entire team at Live Nation and the consortium of all the major concert promoters out there to do the right thing, to step up and step out of the shadows and fix this situation and save lives. To stop letting the young black man take the blame, the hate, the fall. We don't know everything that happened or exactly what failed, but concert promoters have a power to make the changes to keep everyone safe and alive. Live Nation, your stock is up. The white corporate music business keeps cashing in on black pain, trauma, and death. This has to stop yesterday. You're a part of the problem. Grow the fuck up, fix this, and let us all live in peace. It's a lot to unpack there.
Woo.
He said a lot, and a lot of good things. And it's interesting, man. A lot of people don't even they weren't agreeing with the statement. I don't know if people just didn't read it or what, but when you see too many words on an internet post, people just don't read
I
it.
mean, intelligence is very problematic, Mike. You know that, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They don't read. All right, this is what I got to say about it, man. I
Go ahead.
agree. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. No, I was telling you. Go ahead. Please. I want to hear your thoughts.
It really stood out to me when he was talking about corporations capitalizing off of black trauma, pain, and death, and all of that. I think that could go to all sectors of the music, and I think we've always felt like that about the actual recordings. But the fact that we're seeing this happen in live performances now, I think is wild. I think it's wild that, and we're gonna get to this later, because of this Astrofest, Drake was able to pull a record that he had with French Montana. Like this is a trickling down effect. Like you're
Hmm.
getting to the point where you could just pull people off of concerts. Like Soldier Boy just got pulled off of the Millennium Tour because Young Dolph's shooting. And it's one of those things where I was listening to another podcast where they were breaking down all the logistics of the trickle down effect that this Astro Fest situation could have, like on an insurance
Hmm.
level with hip hop concerts.
Ooh.
The lawsuits
Yes.
that are coming down the
Yes.
line when it comes to Travis being sued. Now, is this going to put him in a financial situation where the label comes back and says, you know what, we got a new deal for you, tie you in again? You know what I mean? Kind of like refinancing your home, where it's like, okay, you want us to take care of these lawsuits? Sign your name on the dotted line type thing. This is a whole nother level of control to the point where we're seeing in the media that one individual could be blamed for all of this when
Right.
one individual there was nothing that Travis could have done in that situation. First of all, he trusts the venue and the promoters and the security and all that staff to cut his mic or whatever if things get to a certain point. And even if he doesn't have that quote unquote, presence of mind, that's what should happen, right? He can't just stop the show and not really know the particulars, right? So the fact that A, you have promoters who aren't going to take the brunt of this, right? Because
Hmm.
Live Nation owns most of the venues that do large concerts in that space. They not only own the booking agency, but they actually own the venues themselves. So they're going to be fine. But the fact that one individual can sit here and take the brunt of this and have to possibly rework his whole finances. It's gonna have to rework his whole recording contract and all of that is wild because these are things that he couldn't control. And these are things that they actually could control. And I don't want to get on no conspiracy theorist type of, rant or anything, but who's to say that if you have a company that can control all of those elements, who's to say that someone isn't sent out there to wreak havoc to do something that's beneficial in their way? You can't
It
track
leads
that.
No, no, Mike, it lends itself and leads itself to a lot of doors being open on a lot of levels. One of the things that you said that struck with me, and I want to also say something too, some of those thoughts, a good portion of those thoughts that Chuck D elocuted so well, you actually said on this show when these things happen, as far as like Live Nation and the promoters and sound and stage and, the other people potentially responsible, Mike. The insurance here is what's problematic for
Hmm.
potential hip hop artists and venues moving forward because this gives them a reason to tax us. And they're always looking for a reason to tax us.
Yes.
And so there's money right there in that because there always is inherently, because it always costs more to insure a rap show anyway,
Yep.
like has is inherently. So this is one of those things that makes the sticker tag go up, Mike. And it's getting so big without he's being the focal point of being ostracized
Hmm.
that it's like somebody big need to step in. Like I was like Ye need to step in. Like Jay need to step in. Like somebody need to step in and like, you
What?
know,
Hold on, let me stop you there. What is Jay-Z gonna say to Live Nation? They distribute Rock Nation.
that's why he need to say something.
What can he say?
I mean, he obviously has relationships though. That's what I'm saying.
I feel you, but I'm just not holding my breath on Jay going out there and talking down on Live Nation publicly. Because again, what Chuck D said, it's like so many people's careers are in the hands of this company, so they're not going to say anything. They're, unfortunately, really sitting here letting Travis take this publicly by himself. When you spoke to the insurance thing, it's an interesting thing too because they already tax on insurance, and you can't like we couldn't even do like let's just say we're doing an event at a big space where it's going to be 100 people or whatever. They make you get security, they make you get insurance on the venue, right? So you're not going to be able to hold anything without insurance, and when that with that insurance, they could charge you whatever they want. But based on these things, they could sit here and tell Travis, like, look, this is what we're going to pay you a show because now we got to get 5 times the security. We got to get this. We got to pay for this. They could just make up stuff at this point. And I hate to say it, but Travis
So
just kind
Mike,
of got to take what he can get when it comes to performing again.
right. So let me tell you something personally that happened to me, and that's why I spoke to the insurance because I know how that game gets played, Mike. I used to be the event manager in Atlanta of one of the premier event spots in Atlanta, actually, Mike. And one of Atlanta's biggest party promoters I had a relationship with, and he wanted to do one of his events in in the space that I managed. and I went to my bosses
Mm-hmm.
and I asked them, about this. I mean, and you're talking about for years. This is a guy that I'm talking about has made, hundreds of thousands of dollars for people. Like, I'm not gonna say who he is, but like, he
Right.
done bailed famous rappers down here out of jail, and put them on stage like the same night. You feel what I'm saying? Like, this is a guy whose rep is pretty strong. And now I know that our insurance policies usually for our events were usually for $10,000 to $20,000. I went to my bosses, and just because it was a black crowd, keep in mind there were no even rappers involved. It was just him having an event, which was known for having mostly a black crowd that was going to be, 21 to 40. Said they needed $100,000 insurance policy.
It's wild, man.
That's what
And,
my
and the
bosses
crazy
told me.
part about this, though, Coop, the demographics of the actual victims
Shit, crazy.
ain't even you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see this was a diverse show if we want to sit here and talk about, ethnic backgrounds. Like, Travis' show was a diverse show. It wasn't just 50,000 black people out there. You know what I mean?
I'm just letting you know how the game go, Mike.
Oh,
And
definitely.
I've seen it live myself. The price literally got marked up 80 grand because it was us. It wasn't even no famous rapper coming. And one of the bosses literally bought up a time where another rapper was in the same space and smoked some weed. And I was like, what does that have to do with like me and this guy bringing this money? Because you have to understand, he was coming in during slow season. I'm like, you understand that him doing this event, like him doing that event X amount of times in that space was a six-figure payoff for us.
They're basically telling you, look, man, we do what we want to do.
And we don't
Um,
want your black ass in here. All right.
I was actually gonna do a documentary back on the day. It was a venue in Atlanta, and I went to this venue on a night where they had more, Caucasian patrons, right? Because I went to a friend's birthday party. She had a party there, and I just knew that this, venue from a previous experience, because I went on a night where it was, mostly us, was a certain way. The door was different. Like, they weren't tripping. Like, I was like, yo, I don't have any cash on me. I was like, don't worry about it. Just go in, right? That was different. Get to the bar. The drinks are a whole different price. Same venue, same spot. Parking was half the price it was when we were out there. And, it was like I wanted to back in the day, I was like, man, I want to do like a piece on this where it's like I go one night and people could actually see what it was like that one night, and then when the black people were in the venue, I could actually show people what it's like on that night. But yeah, it's real, and you're talking about on the
Yeah.
back end. I'm talking about like
Yeah.
on the consumer end. Even that's different. But again, all those things are a sliding scale. They affect each other. If you have that person that's saying they need $100,000 on some insurance, then the promoter is gonna have to hit us over the head because it's like, look, man, it just costs more for us to be in the building.
No, and here's what's crazy about it. He was like, I got that. Let's make it happen. He had that.
He's
He
used
already knew
to
how the
it.
game was played. Like I
Yeah,
told you, like Mike, I used to bartend those parties for him. Like I know how big he was. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there are DJs on the radio that got their start at his parties. You feel what I'm saying?
that don't
Like
make
this
it
dude
right
had the
though.
cachet and the cash and all that. They just didn't want us there, and they were just looking for a reason to drive up the sticker. They was just like, no, we don't want you here, so we gonna make you pay. So let's take that on a bigger scale. I'm talking about $100,000 policy to do a party in Atlanta that probably ain't gonna get more than 500 to 700 people at any point in time with it. You talking about Travis Scott?
Right. Yeah. He's gonna get hit over the head. And what's gonna
We're gonna
happen?
need $2.5 million just to do the event
And you know who's gonna say
in
that
insurance.
but you know who's gonna say that they got that? Live Nation or the label or whoever, and they're gonna be like, look, Travis, for us to be able to do this, we're gonna need you to sign
Right,
this.
and now we going and look. So now you're going from behind one door to behind the other door with the
Hmm.
artist trapped in the middle. This is how the game get played.
It's really, really vicious, and that's why he's taking the brunt of this. That's why he's the face of this. Let me put it that way, because in most of the
He's taking the
articles,
brunt of it. You
yeah,
said it right.
yeah, because publicly they want it to be known that okay, well, this is why we're doing this. This is why this happened to him. And I saw a representative of his. She was the former mayor of Baltimore. Her name slips me, but She was talking to Gayle King on Good Morning America. She's his spokesperson, Travis Scott's spokesperson, excuse me. And she was saying things like, Travis is taking full responsibility for this and blah, blah, blah. What? How is he taking full responsibility for this? He's not responsible for this.
It's
Don't say
very
that.
problematic.
Don't say that about me. Like somebody said in the chat. It's like that's like Mike Tyson taking the blame for killing somebody in the ring. It's worse than that. It's like if somebody in the Mike Tyson fight got trampled and Mike Tyson's in the ring fighting and he takes the blame for somebody getting killed out there in the audience watching him fight.
Mike, it wouldn't be surprise me if they tried to do that to Mike Tyson, though, Mike. That
It's
wouldn't surprise me.
insane. It
Like,
is.
Mike, I mean, when people, okay, so Mike, when we say it's insane, it's like, well, we have over 400 years worth of insanity to look at to say that anything is possible now, don't we?
Oh, definitely. No, it's insane that people fall into this, I don't want to say trap, but just fall into the dialogue of like, yeah, it's his fault. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's look at the
It
bigger
happened
picture
fast. It happened fast.
here. It's like, come on, man. Like, really. If
That's why
I
I was like, I told you, Mike, you need to lawyer up and lay low and let this play out.
But when you got lawyers like Benjamin Crump out there working against you, that's even more disappointing. Benjamin Crump's
No,
handling
no,
like 100-something cases on this. Like, come on, man.
no. There are people out there for that ass, and he needs to go acquire them
Yeah, man.
expeditiously.
Well, I mean, again, he comes for, well, I don't want to say comes from, but his child's mother is big in that field, or she comes from a family that's big in that field. So hopefully they work
Oh,
out
this can
something.
get this can get bankroll, and he got plugs. Yeah,
But again, man, this is all
time to use those
spiraled out of
resources.
control. You got so many people in the mix now.
See, here's what I'm saying though. Is like at this point, it's like you gotta. It's almost like you got to be on some day by day with it though, Mike. Like you got to fight this battle like day by day. You can't keep on looking at it from the perspective of, oh well, I don't deserve this. That's not helping you today.
At this point, man, I feel like, and this is just
That ain't
my
helping you
opinion, and
today.
I get it, he's big, but he got to speak for himself, man. And I think that a lot of these entertainers get to a point
Uh-huh.
where they feel like they need representation on every level. Like, no, man,
No,
you need to
Mike.
start speaking for
No, no,
yourself,
no,
man,
no,
because
no, no,
these
Mike.
people
Mike,
have you
on
messed up.
this level, Mike, on this level, I do not agree.
You
He
don't?
needs representation. He needs representation, and he needs to call a press conference where his attorney is going to issue a statement with him standing behind them, where the media is notified that if they have any further questions concerning this matter, can address them to his attorney, the lead attorney on the case.
This is the problem with
And
that,
then he
though.
needs to
And I
go
think
lay low for the next 365 days.
I think that in a regular situation, I think that's what you should do. Let your representation speak for you if you're an individual entity. But when it comes to this entertainment thing, and I was talking to an artist who was telling me basically how it works. These entertainment attorneys work for the labels. They're not working for you. They're going to do whatever is in the best interest of the label because the artists come and go. They want relationships with these corporations. They want relationships with the labels. So they could be out here doing you greasy because you're expendable. You're an artist.
That's already going on, Mike.
That's what I'm saying. So at this point, man, I say save yourself or get some. But again, the thing is, if you go out there and get an
The best
attorney
thing that
or
he
some
can
rep,
do to no, Mike, I want him to save himself too. And the best thing that he can do to save himself to make sure that nothing that he says himself gets misconstrued or taken
I
any
understand
sort of
that.
way out of context is to lawyer the fuck up.
I feel you. But how do you
All
know
the
at that
way.
point that these people have your best
Talk
interests
to my
at heart?
third attorney. My first two attorneys are in litigation right now. You can talk to the third attorney on the team today.
But how do you know in those situations that they got your best interests at heart? That's the thing. Because they
You
work
don't,
for the
Mike. I
labels.
told you he's in a bad spot. He's
Oh, okay.
behind the back door and behind the scenes of a lot of places that nobody in his position. Like your goal as an artist is to sit in the rooms and behind the scenes of places as little as possible. of the places that he's about to be sitting for the next X amount of time, Mike.
I hate that, man, because again, man, I rock with Travis's music, and he put out 2 dope songs. Like, what was it? Right before this happened, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I don't think we're gonna get any new Travis music anytime soon, and that's unfortunate. This whole thing is gonna unfold, but yeah, shout out to Chuck D for actually speaking up from an artist perspective and somebody who's been a hip hop performer for over 30 years. I think he's the best person to speak on it. They've done some
But
of the
Mike,
biggest shows. You know what I'm saying? They've had some
yeah,
rowdy
but
crowds.
the
And
issue is out of hand, Mike.
yeah,
And like when the issue isn't going away, the focal point sometimes needs to. That's what's best for the focal point. Oftentimes, that's all I'm saying.
well, that's
Because
what
the
Drake's
issue's not
doing.
going away. It's not going away.
Yeah. All right. Well,